Hey guys, Woodcraft CZ here. Welcome to my channel if it's your first time, and welcome back if you're a subscriber or have watched any of my previous videos. In this video, we're cutting this magnificent piece of curly poplar burl, and what we're going to do with it is make it into a mirror frame. By nature, poplar is quite a soft wood in the hardwood family, so we're going to use some maple wood for the main frame and a little bit of American walnut, having the poplar just accent the mirror frame. I'm actually going to use my shape of origin to try out box joints with an inlay. This will be the first time I do it, so fingers crossed. If you're wondering why I was using hot glue to glue this piece of poplar down to this board, it's because I need to get a flat surface, and using a bit of plywood I can glue the poplar onto it and create a parallel flat surface to the plywood on top of the poplar. Once that's done, I can remove it and then send it through the sander by itself. Point to note, don't use as much hot glue as I did, it's a nightmare to get off. Okay, so I'm going to try not to talk as much as usual and just let you guys enjoy the process. It's pretty straightforward, so if you do have any questions, you can always ask in the comments. I've been seeing a lot of this lately, so let's see if it works. Well, wouldn't you know? Not bad. So just marking out the measurements for the frame. It's going to be made out of maple, if you haven't guessed already. Just using my marking gauge. Everyone seems to always have a story about the marking gauge when I talk to them about it. I don't. It's just my marking gauge, but it's a pretty good one. So once again, just using my marking gauge to transfer the thickness of the maple to this piece of walnut. You'll see what I'm doing with it in a bit. So, time to take it to the shaper and start cutting these box joints. It's a pretty straightforward process. Side note, if you ever want to wedge or spleen something that's quite narrow, use toothpicks. Like tongue depressors, they're an invaluable asset to the workshop. Everyone should have toothpicks and tongue depressors. So now the walnut's ready, and so is the maple. I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. We're just cleaning up the maple at the moment. Something very cathartic about using a chisel. And now time for the walnut. I'll let you just enjoy this process. There you have it. It's going to be the inlay for the maple frame. For fiddly little glue-ups like this, I always tend to use painter's tape because it's quite flexible in terms of where it can apply pressure. And because it's small, you don't need much pressure applied. So just cleaning up the final pieces of maple, you can see that the inlay has been glued and cut, ready to be slotted in. I made sure to include plenty of fumbling about in front of the camera. And there you have it. One thing to note, I think I would have used a smaller glue gap or a tighter glue gap. I feel it's a little bit too loose, so in the future I'll make that discrepancy a bit smaller. The one I used was just Shape Origin's default value for their box joint algorithm. Once again, I can't stress how good these things are. So many applications, and I'm still finding out more uses for them every day. So just getting an idea of how I want the burl to sit inside the frame. Not entirely sure. Just having a play about, looking at some other options. Yeah, I think I'm going to change it. Marking the pieces I don't want. Once this is done, we can see how it fits. Quick sand to get it flat. Yeah, I think that's much better. I'm liking how the bottom burl sits. Okay, so just using my, I forget the model name, pointy sander, just to get into the corners, and just giving it a 22-degree bevel on the inside. Okay, just using my blue spruce chisel plane, just tightening on the bevel. I'll put a link in the corner to my video going over this tool. Right, let's give this little trick another go. Not bad. Right, so I'm just doing the backing of the mirror. Full disclosure, I mess up. I always seem to mess up something, and this was the something I messed up. I think I was in a bit of a rush, or I just wanted to get it done. Long story short, I cut twice, measured once. Bit of a bodge on the back, but I salvaged it. No one's going to see it. The mirror's going to be used in the house, so you win some, you lose some. I left this part in the video just because I wanted to show we all make mistakes, and nothing to be ashamed of. It's a learning curve. As long as you learn from them, it's all good. The way I see it, you don't only learn from them, not to do them again, but you also learn ways to overcome them when you do them. Moving on. Just finishing up on a frame, using my easy edge to put a 45-degree bevel on the outside of the face of the frame. It's a nice little plane, has some weight to it, and easy to use. Mirror's got a tight fit. Here you'll note that I'm using sandpaper or a sanding disc just to scratch up the mirror, so the epoxy that I use to secure the burl has something to adhere to, not only just on the wood, but to the mirror as well. Also, if you're wondering what epoxy I'm using, it's Starbond's 5-minute epoxy. Super simple, super easy, it's a great epoxy. Does the job, and does the job well. You'll see in a reflection, I add a little bit of wood glue to the edges of the poplar, just because it comes into contact with the frame. So it's like a double Brucey bonus, really showing my age now. Write down in the comments if you know the reference. Now time for the good old trusted Rubio Monocoat 2C. Quick mix, 1 part hardener, 3 parts oil, and away we go. Once again with the tongue depressor. Any tongue depressor companies out there want to give me a sponsorship? What's left to do now is just attach the hooks on the back. We're just using some sort of picture eye loops, one on the left, one on the right, and then I'm going to put some wire between the two, and there we have it. I'll tell you what, the Rubio is impossible to clean up on the glass. I'll get to that later. So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you haven't found it too painful and managed to find something to take away from it. I'll take the opportunity to ask, if you haven't already, consider giving this channel a subscription. Be mostly appreciated. I'm really trying to grow it, and if not, definitely smash that like button or dislike button, entirely up to you. I'm going to leave you with a couple of photos I took of the finished mirror inside the home and a couple from the workshop. Hope you like it. Until the next video guys, happy woodworking and take it easy.